Chapter 5. The Return of Kirsten Present, Bloemfontein, 2015. The night was unusually still. Even the dogs that normally barked in the street outside had fallen silent. Marnus sat slouched at his computer, the glow of the screen reflecting off his tired eyes. His body was heavy with fatigue, but his mind refused rest. He scrolled through faces, names, lives that did not belong to him. Facebook had become his strange addiction. Not because he cared about the gossip, the food pictures, or the political fights, but because he was searching, always searching, for her. 14 years had passed since Fort Sill, Oklahoma, since 2001, when he had been young, reckless, and whole, and when Kirsten's laughter had wrapped around him like light. He had gone home to South Africa that year, telling himself life would sort itself out, but life had chewed him to pieces. He had lost her, lost everyone. But something in his spirit, the part not devoured by alcohol, by drugs, by the lion's curse, had never let her go. He almost missed it, just a name in a sea of names. But then his eyes froze, his breath caught in his throat, and his heart thudded like a war drum. Kirsten. Her profile picture was small, but her eyes were unmistakable. Older now, yes. Time had etched faint lines around her face. Life had weathered her as it had weathered him. But it was her. The same eyes that had haunted him for 14 years. His hands trembled as he clicked. Past Fort Sill, Oklahoma, 2001. He remembered it like it was yesterday. The base was dusty, the air always smelled faintly of sweat, metal, and gun oil. But the moment he met her, the entire world softened. She was a student in Lawton, visiting friends on base. He had been standing awkwardly with his South African accent that always seemed to make Americans laugh. And then she walked in. Kirsten. Her hair caught the sunlight through the barracks window. Her smile was shy at first, then warm, then unstoppable. She asked him about South Africa, about his life, about everything. He didn't even notice time slipping away. Hours felt like minutes. For weeks they met whenever they could. On the base, in town, talking, laughing, sharing dreams. He had never felt so understood. She was his mirror, his anchor, his missing half. When he boarded the plane back to South Africa, he had pressed her hand to his lips, whispering promises. They would write. They would see each other again. But promises are fragile in the storm of life. Letters stopped, emails faded, the world tore them apart, and he had carried the emptiness ever since. Present, Bloemfontein, 2015. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. What do you say after 14 years? Hi, remember me? Sorry for disappearing. My life is ruins, but I still dream of you every night. He laughed bitterly. Nothing he could write would be enough. Yet he wrote anyway. A simple message, a whisper into the void. Kirsten, it's Marnus. I never stopped thinking about you. His hand shook as he pressed send. For hours there was no reply. He paced the room, smoked, cursed himself for being a fool. He thought about deleting his account, about shutting the laptop and forgetting he had ever seen her face. Then the message came. Marnus? I don't believe it's you. After all these years, his heart stopped, then thundered. His eyes burned with tears he hadn't allowed in years. The lion stirred. He felt it in his chest, in his veins. The beast that had haunted him since Sudan stretched, claws digging into his ribs. Its golden eyes opened, its mane bristling. And with it came the first beast. Spirit world. The awakening. The dream struck that night, violent and vivid. Marnus was no longer in his room, but in a vast savannah under a blood-red sky. The air stank of iron and dust. The lion inside him burst free, his body splitting, twisting. He was half man, half lion, standing on clawed feet, his roar echoing across eternity. Across the plain came another shape, larger, stronger, striped with shadows. A tiger. Its name thundered into his mind like a curse. Theo, the first beast. The tiger's eyes glowed with hunger. Its voice was deep, cruel. She is mine, Marnus. Kirsten is mine. You will never have her. You will never be free. Marnus roared back, but fear clawed at him. The tiger was bigger, its muscles rippling with dark power. He fought desperately, his claws striking sparks, his body bruised and torn. He should have lost. He was weaker, slower. But through the roar of battle, he heard a voice, soft, steady, cutting through the chaos. Kirsten. Her voice carried across the distance, even in the dream. He didn't understand the words, but her presence wrapped around him like a shield. Her faith was stronger than his despair. The lion surged, his claws slashed deep. His roar shook the plain. Theo staggered, blood pouring from its wounds. It did not die. No beast ever truly died, but it retreated, snarling, vanishing into the shadows. Marnus collapsed, panting. The savannah dissolved. He awoke on his bed, drenched in sweat, his body aching as though he had truly fought. He checked his phone. A message blinked. "I've missed you too, Marnus." He closed his eyes. For the first time in years, a fragile hope flickered. But he knew it came at a cost. The beasts had awakened, and there would be more. End of Chapter 6. The Child's Curse. Present. Bloemfontein, 2015. The morning after his first battle with Theo, Marnus woke with bruises he could not explain. His arms ached, his ribs felt cracked, and there was blood beneath his fingernails, though he had not cut himself. He stumbled to the bathroom, turned on the faucet, and stared into the mirror. The reflection that stared back was not only his. For a heartbeat, the eyes were golden, slitted like a predator's. A lion's mane flickered faintly around his face, then vanished. He gripped the sink, knuckles white, and whispered, "God help me." But God's voice was silent. Only hers answered. His phone buzzed with a message from Kirsten. "I dreamt of you last night. You were in a battle, weren't you?" I could feel it. He froze. How could she know? Unless the bond between them had been deeper than he realized. Unless she was more than a memory. And in that moment, the past surged back like a flood. Past, Sudan, 2000. It had not been a battlefield that haunted him most. It had been the silence after. The girl's body had lain in the dust, her blood dark against the sand. Marnus had wanted to pick her up, to beg forgiveness, to undo the impossible. But he had been yanked away by another soldier, ordered to keep moving. The war never stopped, but her eyes did not leave him. For weeks he had seen them in every shadow, every dream. A child of maybe 5 years, small and fragile. Her name he never knew, but her mother's curse he would never forget. The woman had fallen to her knees beside her daughter, her face a mask of grief and rage. She had screamed words in Arabic, words Marnus could not understand, but their hatred was clear, venomous, eternal. She pointed at him, tears streaking down her cheeks, and though the language was foreign, the meaning burned itself into his bones. You will never know peace, you will never know rest, your spirit will be hunted until the end of your days. The curse had found him then, and it had never let go. Present, Bloemfontein, 2015. Marnus sank to the floor of the bathroom, trembling. His phone buzzed again. "Kirsten, I saw a child last night, in my dream. She was crying. She kept calling you her killer. Marnus, what does this mean?" His breath caught. The curse had reached her. The little girl's spirit was not bound to him alone. It had found Kirsten, too. That night he tried to pray, tried to drink, tried to drown the memories. But as he closed his eyes, the dream came again. The savannah was darker than before, the sky torn with storm clouds. And this time the tiger Theo was not alone. A smaller figure stood beside it, a child. Her eyes were hollow, her mouth twisted into a cruel smile that did not belong to her. She was no longer just the girl he had killed. She was something else, a spirit of vengeance, wrapped in shadow. Her voice cut through him like broken glass. "You murdered me, Lion Man. You stole my life. Now I will steal yours." The tiger growled, its stripes glowing like molten fire. Together they came at him. Marnus roared, claws flashing, but his strength faltered. He could not bring himself to strike the child, even as her tiny hands burned with black fire, searing his flesh. He fell, and then across the distance he heard her again. Kirsten. She had called him on the phone before he slept. He had left the line open, her voice still faintly buzzing through the dream like a lifeline, and through the bond they shared, she was with him. "Fight, Marnus," she whispered. "You're not the monster they say you are. Fight!" Her words broke the chains of his guilt. With a roar, the lion surged, golden light bursting from his chest. He leapt at Theo, sinking his claws into the tiger's throat, tearing deep. Blood and shadow poured across the savannah. The child shrieked, her form shattering into mist. But her voice lingered in the storm. "I will return. You will never escape me." Marnus woke screaming, his sheets soaked in sweat, his chest burning with claw marks that had not been there before. He grabbed his phone. Kirsten was still on the line. "Marnus," her voice cracked, trembling. "I saw it too. The tiger, the child. I saw you bleed." Silence stretched between them. Then Kirsten whispered what neither of them could deny. "This is not just dreams. This is real. Spirit war. The Pact." Later that week, the angel appeared. Marnus was sitting outside, cigarette trembling in his fingers, when the wind shifted. A figure stood in the dust, tall, radiant, cloaked in light. His wings shimmered like fire. Gabriel, the angel said, his voice like thunder. Marnus dropped the cigarette, his throat dry. What do you want from me? The angel's gaze was both stern and full of pity. You are cursed because of blood spilled in Sudan, but God does not abandon his children. The curse is also the path to redemption. You must fight the beasts, you must survive them all, and only then will you be free. And if I fail, Marnus asked, then the child's curse will claim your soul, and Kirsten's as well. The angel vanished. Marnus sat in the dust, staring at his shaking hands. For the first time, he understood the truth. This war was not just his. The curse was spreading, binding the woman he loved into its coils, and he swore to himself, as the lion stirred inside him, he would fight, no matter the cost.